And hello, everybody. Welcome to What Drives Us, episode 150. That's 150. I've been doing this for 150. I'm going to have a little bit of a breakdown. Guys, give me a minute. Okay, I'm over it. Episode 150, a very special episode with one special guest and one topic. So let's get to introducing it. We may have, look at that, just at the last minute. One of our regular panelists might be joining us, but I'm not going to introduce him until he gets his camera stopped moving so that I don't get seasick.
Okay, I'm trying to find a good spot. There we go.
There you go. First man from Colorado. His name is Paul Guzik.
Hey, everybody. Glad to be back and looking forward to tonight's show.
Thank you for being here, Paul. And without his headset on, so he can't hear me.
No, I can't hear you because I'm going through my phone, and I hope that works. I'm having technical issues tonight.
I think we can hear you. Yeah, actually, you know what? And the color's better than it's ever been, Evan. I have no idea why. It's so weird.
Good old American phone.
Of course, you're a photographer, and you have a spotlight pointing right into the camera.
Yeah, you like that?
Yeah, I don't care. I mean, it's not
Right,
like it doesn't hurt me. I'm fine. You're good, dude. Anyway, Dr. Evan Fusco, our man in the Midwest. Say hi, Evan.
Here. Hi. All technical problems and everything. How are you guys doing tonight?
Awesome.
I'm breaking the tradition, though. You must know. I'm going with wine this evening.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I hope
So you're out of beer? Is that the house has no beer in it?
The house has beer. The wife was in the mood for wine.
Ah,
I drink wine.
okay.
Interesting. And Windows 10, just in case you're concerned, it's not as easy an upgrade as they think.
No.
No.
Is it ever?
My co-host Danny Cooper may be here. He, it looks like this is just as I say. My co-host, the rarest man on What Drives Us, it's Mr. Danny Cooper.
Hello, everybody. How have you been? I have missed you while I've been basically building an entire new bathroom.
That's true. You have been you've been doing interstate construction.
Yes, literally. I don't have a license for that, so don't tell too many people.
I think you might still be on your computer too.
Ah, let me fix that.
I think so. Just you're sounding a little bigger than normal. And last but not least, he's
there we go. Is that better?
Much better. He's not a member of our regular panel, but he is our very special guest, all the way from Waterloo, Ontario. He runs the Waterloo Region Voltec Group. This is a group for Volt owners in Canada. Welcome to the show, Mr. Mark Coughlan.
Hello, everybody. Thanks very much for inviting me on the show. Appreciate it.
Well, Mark.
Glad to have you.
Very glad to have you. I'm actually really excited about a show where we get to talk about nothing but the Chevy Volt. I was waiting for like the expressions of excitement.
Hey, Mark is a better person to talk about than Bob Lutz ever would have been. So, very glad to have him.
Fair enough. So, to kick this off, Mark, let's set the foundation. Why don't you talk about what your involvement is, what you do, what the Waterloo Group is, and we'll go from there.
Okay. I, as an individual, I've got no connection, of course, to Chevrolet or GM or anything like that, but I've been following the Chevy Volt since its concept days, and I had watched it for a number of years as it started to roll out, and had decided that it seemed to fit what I wanted to use an electric car for most, which was not have that range anxiety, being able to have a single car to be able to travel the electric miles that you would need to, and then if you had to, you could use the gasoline engine and just keep it as a one-car solution. So that's, in a nutshell, why I looked at the car. And after getting the car, which was about a year ago, I bought it used. I had taken over a lease of somebody else, and after that point, used the car through the winter, and I started to think about there's got to be some other people out there in the region that operate the cars, because I've seen them, So I just started to go hunting for people on the internet, and I was kind of searching people out and sending emails here and there. And sure enough, there was quite a few people that had interest in the car itself, in discussing different aspects of it, learning a little bit more from others. And we decided to put this group together where we would get together on a monthly basis at some location, and we would discuss the car, its abilities. Anybody, if they had issues or problems, we would get into solutions or what we've done differently than what they've done. And it's become a really great group of people to bounce ideas off of and find out about things that you may not run into on a normal basis. But when you have more people, you get more experience, and everybody seems to benefit from it. So we've been having a great time for the past year, like I said, about once a month, and we all look forward to the next meeting here and there. So we're having a good time.
So that reminds me a lot of the early Prius days, where there was that real enthusiasm and hype, and you've been able to keep good turnouts for even the monthly meetings?
Exactly. Like in the region itself, I've been able to identify approximately somewhere between 36 of the cars in the area, and we get somewhere between a dozen, 15, somewhere in that area on a regular basis.
Wow, very good.
In fact, we've been able to, and putting this group together, it's been beneficial in other ways because we get other groups come out and talk to us. We've had people offer to come in and do some walkthroughs on what they've done on different products or different types of EVs. And just recently, we got invited to come down to the Hamtramck plant and have a tour of the plant, which actually happens tomorrow morning. So I and 27 others are loading up in cars from different areas across the United States and Canada, and we're all meeting in Detroit and going to have a tour of the Hamtramck or the DHAM plant just on the outskirts of Detroit itself.
Easy trip.
And are they tooled up for the new model yet, or are they still building the current generation?
I am told that the new model is on the line in numbers, as well as some new ELRs and some Cadillac CT6s may be available to be seen as well.
So get one of those shirt pen camera things and.
Yeah, that's one of the rules. No cameras, no videos.
Oh,
Sounds like fun though.
yeah. I mean, how cool is that? That's awesome.
Yeah, so we're really looking forward to it.
That's great because one of the running Prius Chat, one of the biggest problems that we've had over the years is getting local involvement, especially in numbers like what you're saying. So congratulations for what you're doing.
Thank you.
Well, I think another thing, Mark, you might want to mention or expand on is that the Waterloo region is kind of the Silicon Valley of Canada. There's a lot of smart, techie type people there that are into that kind of car.
It certainly is an area that a lot of programmers, a lot of startup groups are from because they're connected to the University of Waterloo, which is a math and sciences university that's had very good success in running these type of programs and incubators to help small startups get into the tech arena. And it's had a number of programs that have grown over time to help these small fledgling groups get their grip on what they're doing and expand and get into a successful product.
Yeah, like the Prius, I think a lot of the early adopters of the Volt were techies and engineers that could appreciate what went into the car.
Yeah, and when you look at even our group as just a small microcosm, most of us are connected to the tech industry in a number of different ways. So it holds true even for our small group.
Yeah.
So as an enthusiast, give me the 30-second sales pitch on the next gen Volt.
Well, on the next gen Volt, certainly the car has been improved almost in every way from the specs that we've been given. The car goes longer on an EV charge. The car is more fuel efficient when it uses its gas generator. The car is lighter. the car also has the ability to have a fifth seat now, which is, well, 4.5 seats possibly. It's not necessarily a fifth seat. It's enough to put a small child in place for a short trip, which is more than what it had before. And it's quicker off the line as well. It's got a better 0 to 30 mile an hour speed, as well as a slightly better 0 to 60 speed. So in all aspects, the car seems to be better than the previous version. And that's kind of shown because Chevrolet went back to the drawing board. They didn't use the same parts. They replaced everything in the car with second generation thoughts. So they didn't use the parts over again at all. They went for broke and redesigned everything.
Do they have a ludicrous button?
That's all that Russell cares about.
Apparently that was taken.
Oh, you had to go there, Guzik.
And it wasn't me. I want to point out it wasn't me that brought up the Tesla first. So just...
For once, you're not leading the way with the Tesla flag. So I'm kind of. Do you feel like the difference? But I mean, it's a different car, and that's really cool that they've taken the knowledge, but not taken the same parts, and they built a better version of the Volt. It truly is, you know. But do you feel that is there a huge difference? I mean, is it like Volt 1 owners are all really sad because Volt 2's coming out and it's going to really eclipse, or are we looking at an incremental improvement?
I would say that it's more of an incremental. Certainly the ability that the EV range has jumped by about 25% is a great deal. Going from 38 miles to 50 miles is a wonderful thing to do. Although, in my 2012 Volt, driving the way that I do in summer months, I'll get 50 miles with my old car. So I'm wondering if the new one will get 60 miles or 62 miles. Because the battery's grown slightly, the weight's gone down, and they've put a better package together. So those things are yet to be seen. Certainly adding a fifth seat was something that a lot of people had asked for. And the car has a new styling. It looks completely different. You know, it's still got some aspects of the old car, but a lot of people had indicated that they like the old style better. But you put a number of people together, and you're always going to get that difference of opinion. So,
sure.
I would say it's an incremental jump along the line, and it makes you wonder as to whether or not current generation owners, if that's enough for them to move up. I would say some and not others. It's going to be a mixed bag.
Well, what about you, Mark?
I'm sticking where I am for a while. So I'll keep my 2012 again. I've only had it for a year, so at maybe the next generation or the next couple of years down the road, it will be more attractive to me. But right now, I'm quite happy with what I have.
I'd like to say that I have a number of former Prius owners who are pretty picky about quality and reliability that have purchased Volts, and all of them love their cars. I mean, it's too bad Toyota doesn't have a plug-in car that will go 40 miles on a charge. But
or 14 miles on a charge.
Yeah. But people are really happy with the Volt, and the hardest thing in this part of the country is the fact that it has a Chevrolet badge on it. People around here don't buy American cars, generally, except pickups. And if that car had a Toyota badge on it, it would probably sell 10 times as many. And it's too bad because it is a really good car and people love them, even the current generation. So
that kind of brings up an interesting point. There's some politics involved when it comes to the Volt in the United States as opposed to here in Canada. You've got that question of, the car was connected to the government, and there seems to be a real split for people in the U.S. And I was wondering if you guys could comment on that as to what you saw from your end.
I'd say more so when it
regional.
launched than now.
Okay, one at a time. Cooper.
I was just going to say, I think it was more of a thing when it first launched more than more than today, probably.
Paul.
Yeah, around here it's not like the government bailed out GM. It's just that American cars sucked in the 80s and 90s, so no one wants to buy them. That's what we see around here.
Evan, who owns an American car?
That
Well,
doesn't suck.
Yeah, though my American car gets heckled for lots of weird reasons. You know, I think certainly when the bailout was going on, there was a lot of, hesitancy and frustration, and you've still got your extremists that don't want any subsidies for anybody for anything for any reason, But I don't hear a lot. I don't think. I'm not sure most people even know that there's a tax break for buying a Volt.
Yeah, I would. The bow tie works both for them and against them here, in my opinion, Mark. There are some people, a small group of people who are like, the government motors folks that resent what happened. But I think that's a small group of people. There's also a group of people, like Paul mentioned, that the stain of the 80s and the 90s and American-made vehicles is still very, very present. And it's tough if you've owned a much more reliable, less recalled vehicle to consider, to go back and go, yeah, maybe Chevrolet has what I want.
Oh, come on. The 82 Cavalier was an awesome car.
They are the best burning cars ever. But the other side, and I think the thing that works for the Volt is there's a lot of people who want to buy an American car, who want to buy a car with an American badge. This one happens to be made in the United States. I mean, there are other American cars that aren't, but they're looking for that. So, I mean, I think that also works in their favor, at least as much as it works against them.
So it's a mixed bag, is what you're saying, and either way.
It is. I think the best thing, not that it's directly answering your question, but it sort of is, the best thing the Volt has going for it is that it's real. It's come out, people owned it, they've driven it, they've talked about it, and it really does what Chevy said it would do. Yeah. And that's the best thing that it has going for it, is there's a lot of people. It's a shame that Chevrolet hasn't leveraged that more. Because
it's a practical car for a lot of people. I mean, I think the average American drives less than 40 miles a day, so you can do most of your trips on battery.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I think the federal government came out with some stat that it was 73% of all North Americans drive within 34 miles total for their commute.
Yeah.
Well, we actually had a question on the Google Plus page for you, Mark. It's from Lee Moon. He's wondering what sort of overall gas mileage the Waterloo Voltec Group is getting, and what kind of percentage does the group get in pure EV?
Well, certainly that changes with seasons, because here in Ontario we've probably got a couple months of pretty bad winter weather in January, February. But during the summer season, as it is now, I know that almost everyone in the group is driving completely on EV. No one's burning any gas. And it's a great feeling to be driving by that gas station every week or every day and knowing you don't have to stop. That is one of the best feelings in the world, actually. But
and in Canada, gas is more expensive too, right? What's the price of that?
It is. Right now, we're running about $1.15 a liter, which converted is like $4.25 a gallon.
Wow.
So, and this is when oil is under what, $50 a barrel, and we're still paying these exorbitant amounts. And,
so you got a big grin when you're driving on the EV.
Yeah, like it's a big change.
Yeah.
Mark, do you think everyone's able to stay in EV because they all have short commutes, or is there an infrastructure developed enough that people have the ability to charge at work and have opportunity charging that's permitting that much EV?
Certainly, we do have some infrastructure out there. It's not rampant. It's not everywhere. In the larger cities, of course, there's more, but I would say we're probably falling within that same 73% of people drive under 34 miles a day. I think that's probably the majority of it.
interesting because I average a lot more than that. I guess I have to do the math, but I'm averaging almost 2,000 miles a month in my Tesla, and so I would have a hard time making it an pure EV without some significant opportunity charging. So that's interesting.
But you're not in the 73%.
Right, I'm not.
Yeah, so there is certainly people outside of that, but man, that's quite a majority of people that are driving within that
absolutely.
range.
Well, also in your area, does battery management that the different approach the manufacturers are taking, do you think that's playing a role in what car people are deciding to buy, mainly like Leaf versus Volt?
Well, I know for myself that when I looked at a Leaf, I test drove a Leaf, and I thought about the possibility. I know that the majority of time I could have used a Leaf within its given range, but my problem was being a sales rep. If I had to go outside that range at any given point, I needed still to get there, regardless as to whether or not I could get a charge or not. I needed to get there. So that's what made the decision easy for me.
So does the Bolt change that math for you at all? With a B?
I would say that having 200 miles of range would certainly, get me to a point where probably 99% of the time I'd be all right. But I'd be hesitant now after having the Volt for this period of time of even switching at this point because I just know that I've got that extra insurance. If something was to happen and I had to drive thousands of kilometers, it wouldn't matter.
And you have a real heater in the winter.
Exactly.
And that's exactly where I am with the Prius plug-in too. It's like I got that little feeling of having a plug-in car, an electric car, but after my 11 miles or 10 miles ago, basically once I make my way to the interstate, it's all gone. And but I've got that feeling that I want more electric, but I also want that security of being able to go down to Columbia to help my dad build a bathroom, and it's 200 miles each way, or round trip.
And it's funny you mention that because over time there begins to be a game that you're playing with the car, because over time you want to get that extra EV distance. You want to go a little further. You want to include an extra trip, and you're always kind of looking at, well, I am, and some of my other members of the group are, where they'll say that that they're actually gaming the system to go a little further, to go a little bit longer, and it becomes a game. It becomes something that you're calculating all the time and having a good time doing it.
Sounds like 04 with the Prius, Evan.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, we see that all the time. With Prius owners getting more than not Danny, of course, with his plug-in.
I have a customer who lives in South Boulder in an apartment building, and he can't plug in his Volt at home, but he works at a place that has free plug-ins, and he can do a round trip to his workplace on EV. So he basically only uses gas, on the weekends if he goes up to the mountains or camping or something. But his entire weekly commute is EV, and his employer pays for his fuel, so he's digging it. I mean, it's perfect.
Absolutely.
And he doesn't have to plug in at home. So.
And we've got stories of some of our members. Their workplace allows them to plug their car in, even at 110. So they go into work, they work 8 hours, they come back out, the car is almost fully charged at that point, and they're ready to drive home again.
Yeah.
So if you can get that kind of charging on both sides of the coin, you've upped your range now. You can do basically 50 miles each way.
Kind of skipping back, we were talking about Volt driver habits and percentages and whatnot, and I think one of the things that impressed me about the Volt early on was when we started to see some good data coming from owners was the high percentage of owners that almost never use gas. And again, I think that's something to bolster the idea that 35 miles of range isn't bad. This isn't a handicap per se.
No.
It could
Not
be,
at all.
and if it was higher, it would give you more freedom. But it doesn't. 35 isn't necessarily limiting for a lot of people. And that
Yeah, it's something like you've got to realize what your driving habit is. If you don't realize what it is, kind of examine it. How far do I drive to work? How often? What kind of mileage am I putting on a weekly basis? And with that, you can really get a good sense as to whether or not you're within that 73% of the population. But obviously, with that high of a number, a lot of people are and maybe don't even know it.
Okay, so I'll ask the hard question. Get ready, Mark. What do you hate about it? What doesn't work? What isn't right? Whether it's trivial or important, give me some things.
Well, I would say that the A-frame in the car, so the sides where the front windshield meets the doors, it's a little wider than a normal car. So I find that I have to kind of move my head a little bit as I'm looking for around the corner for a blind spot. That's something that is well reported in the car. Another thing would be that the fast charger in the car is only capable of a 3.3. So really, an L2 charger can only charge the car as fast as 3.5 hours to a full charge, which is certainly much better than a 110, but it's nothing like say a Leaf with a 6.6 charger. So that hasn't been changed in a new car either. But then again, Chevrolet, apparently they use the OnStar system to communicate with their cars, and everyone that buys a Volt gets OnStar free for 3 years. And what happens is it feeds the information back to Chevrolet about how the car is being used, how it's being plugged in, how often it's plugged in, whether it's using 110 or 240. It's all collected, and then GM's able to come out and look at this and say, well, you know what? 60 or 58% of our people don't even use an L2 charger ever. They just plug it into their garage, into the normal outlet at home. They let it charge overnight, and that's it. The other part of the equation would be those who want to use L2. That's a smaller percentage, and at this point, I guess they don't feel that it makes sense to put extra cost into the car to have a faster charger. But there certainly has been discussions about it on the forums and with owners, because, of course, as I was saying, it's a bit of a game now with people that they want to get that extra charge, they want to go a little bit longer. So some people are actively looking for places to plug in when they go to the movie theater or go grocery shopping, just to get that a little bit of an extra charge. And if it was a faster charger, of course, you get more charge in a faster time period.
But unlike a Leaf, I mean, if you don't get a full charge, you're still going to get home.
Exactly, but you still got that gaming mentality. I want to get home on EV, right. But if all else fails, the generator kicks on by itself, and you get home no matter what. It's not like you're stranded.
Right, Paul. I'm just curious. If you were charging mostly by 110, is that possibly, whether intentional or not, a beneficial battery management strategy?
Not really. I mean, it's
not a big difference.
The batteries can handle, faster charging. The thing about 120 volt charging, or people say 110, but is it's everywhere. I mean, you could almost go to Starbucks and plug your car in. If you can plug in a laptop, you can charge your car. Where a level 2 charging station, they're a lot harder to find. So, you can go visit your buddy and wherever and plug into his garage without anything special, because all the volts ship with a 110 charger.
110 and how many amps?
Well, you can only pull 12 amps out of a 110 circuit.
Okay.
So
yeah, Glenn Hutchison on the Google Plus page said that it pulls 110 at 8 amps.
At 8 amps?
Yeah, for the volt.
That's low.
Mine pulls 12.
Yeah,
okay.
it should at maximum. By electrical code, you can pull 12 amps out of a standard circuit.
Okay, so you don't.
There's a setting in the car that you can turn on. Actually, the models that were 2013 and higher, they default to 8, and you can go in and set it to 12 to charge a little faster. My model, the 2012, it automatically started at 12, and I just keep it there. Obviously.
And if you had, in your garage and your washing machine on the same circuit, of course, you'd blow the washing machine kicked on.
That's correct, yeah. So you got to have a dedicated circuit for it.
Yeah. Or not wash your clothes at the same time.
No blow
One
dry.
to the other.
Yeah. Microwave, the heavy stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Don't heat up your pizza.
Okay, so Mark, here's my question, and this is an actual question because it's something I'm facing right now. I've got the end of my lease on my plug-in Prius coming up September, and I've been very tempted by some of the pricing that I'm seeing on some of the 2015 Volts. What is your thought process on the current gen Volt versus the next gen Volt if you're a buyer that's currently in the market?
How many more babies you going to have, Danny?
Well, I can't quite afford the Model S yet, Evan.
Yeah, the current car, the current model, the Gen 1, is a 4-seater. So if that comes into play, then certainly it may allow you to be in it or not. But as for value for the dollar, I would snap up a 2015 without a second thought. The car is reliable. The car has a great battery. It is a fantastic bargain at the prices that I am seeing in the U.S. at this point. Like, it's phenomenal.
Or you could move to Colorado, get a used 2013 for about 17 grand.
Well,
Wow.
I'm seeing brand new ones. I've seen a few that were like loaded for 19 after the federal tax credit.
Wow.
Yep, there has been
That's-
reports. There have been reports on different media of 7, possibly even 8,000 off MSRP.
Wow.
And it's probably going to get better as they ramp up the Gen 2 version. They want to blow out the old ones.
Yeah, it depends. It depends on how how they move, because the deals have been getting progressively better. I can't see them getting much better, just for the fact that they're being sold. Like, they're starting to roll out. People are just saying, "This is a phenomenal deal. Why am I sitting on my hands?"
Yeah.
Now, a friend of the show, Justin Wages, has a Volt. He went from a Prius to a Prius plug-in to a Volt, and he just got his girlfriend a Volt as well. And she has a 15, I believe. And he mentioned something on Facebook the other day about the 2015 having a larger battery.
Correct. The my 2012 started with a 16 kilowatt battery, and then over each progressive year they added a little bit more to the battery. So in 2015, for example, they were up to 17.1 kilowatts. And the brand new Volt that has yet to be released, about to be released, it's got an 18.4 kilowatt battery. So they went even further in the Generation 2.
So if they only went from like... I'm sorry, go ahead.
So every year from 2012 to 2015, they were adding half a kilowatt or 3/4 of a kilowatt as they went along.
But that didn't change the range?
It did, but they didn't pay to have the car retested over and over again, right? Because they felt the car is basically the same. Who's going to complain that they're getting more range than what's advertised? And they just let it go.
Yeah, that's what Justin said. Justin said his girlfriend's getting like 40 plus out of hers easy.
Not Chevy.
Yeah.
Good for them.
Yeah.
Good for them.
That's the opposite of Ford.
Yeah, that's an
Yeah.
admirable strategy.
Yeah, it made sense.
Yeah, the under promise over deliver never makes people upset, ever. My 35-mile range car gets 42.
Yeah, I want to return it.
So we have another question coming in from the Google Plus page. John Breiling asks, does anyone know if the next Gen Volt's hatch opening is smaller than the current Gen Volt? From the pictures I've seen, the next Gen Volt's opening appears smaller as far as width goes.
I can tell you that I've seen one in person, and it does appear optically that's a little smaller, but I've been told that it's roughly the same size. So there's no big difference in it.
So bring your tape measure, Mark, when you go to the back.
Next time I'll bring a tape measure.
We expect a full post report.
No cameras, but you can bring your tape measure.
I'm sure they will not mind me jumping up on the line and measuring the hatch opening as it's moving down.
Yeah, OSHA will be impressed.
Yeah. OSHA? This is Canada, buddy.
No, it's in America.
Oh, that's right. What am I thinking?
Yeah, we're traveling to Detroit.
Yeah. There goes that safety disregard. So. Nice. I'm sure that if there is a difference, it's probably one of those like 1.5 inch things.
I think the overall dimensions of the car slightly changed as well. It got like a 1/2 inch wider and 3 inches longer, but really the interior space roughly was the same. I think you got a bit more in the back seat area, but really the car is basically the same when it comes to room.
How about the cargo space? How is it? I don't know what your personal life is like, but going out on weekend trips, vacations in the car.
It's a hatchback, so it has the ability, of course, to fold down the back seats, and I've done that in a number of occasions when I have to go to the Home Depot or something like that to get larger items. And you can fit rather large things in it, like a 55-inch widescreen television will fit in the back with the seats folded down. So it's surprising how much room it actually has.
Yeah, I have customers that throw their bicycle in the back, the seats folded down.
Yep.
And these are former Prius people that used to throw it in the back of their Prius, and they say, it's about the same cargo space.
Really?
Yep.
Wow. I drove one in 2011, and it felt really small to me, but
sitting in the back seat is definitely smaller than a Prius.
Yeah.
But when the seats are folded down, the cargo space is pretty decent.
Nice. Nice. How about the interior controls, the infotainment systems? What's your take on that? Have you been satisfied with what you have?
I've certainly been satisfied with what's there. I do not have the nav system in my car, so I don't have the maps. But I understand from all manufacturers that stuff becomes out of date pretty quickly. Maybe with the exception of Tesla. But those maps that come with the car, I didn't see a big need for it. But then again, I bought it used. I got what I was able to get type thing. But it was a departure from a regular GM car, certainly, with the touchscreen and the center stack with the 7-inch touchscreen monitor. It's a little bit funky. The buttons are a little bit different than what you would see in a standard car. But it just took me an extra week or two to get used to where the buttons were, and from there I was good. But it was a learning thing for me, certainly for a couple weeks.
And are all the Volts like a smart key push button start, or are they key ignition?
Yeah, that's the really nice thing is the key fob that comes with a car. It gives you a number of controls on it. The one that I use every day, in fact, I really love, is the automatic window down. So I'm coming out of my office, I double-click on the open door button, and all 4 windows go down just to air the car out before I get there. So, and of course, the automatic start in the winter is wonderful. That you can fire the car up and get it heating before you get there, or get the air conditioning to go before you get there. Your choice.
Wow.
And what kind of heater is in it? It's not.
There's really 2 types of heaters. There's an electric heater, of course, and then there's also the heater that is connected to the gas generator. So you can get quick heat out of the car with the gas generator, and certainly the electricity draws a lot to heat the car. In fact, it's much less efficient than it is to, say, air condition a car with electricity. So the car does have that dual heating ability. I myself, here in southern Ontario, I really didn't have to use the gas generator that much in my commutes, but I also keep my car in a garage. So, I'm quite warm when I leave the house, as opposed to some that leave their cars out overnight. And actually, I got some pretty cool pictures of some of our members with the car out there. It looks like a in a big snowbank with a cord running into the snowbank on the side. So the car certainly can take adverse weather conditions without a problem.
And I heard like with the OnStar, if you locked the key in the car accidentally, they can remotely open the car for you and stuff like that.
Just like other models, they have those abilities that, and it comes, of course, with an Android or an iPhone app that you can use as well, if you have the OnStar option.
So you can control the car to some extent remotely with a smartphone?
Well, it's not a James Bond car.
Drive it up to your
driving with your phones. But it certainly gives you some options and gives you some messages, and as well as gives you some statistics. And speaking of statistics, Russell, I'd sent you some links for the show, but there is a place called voltstats.net, and anyone can go to that site, and you can look up all the different volts that have subscribed to this third-party service. OnStar feeds this aggregate information to it and allows people to go in and see all the different volts that are subscribed to it. Shows different colors of green on the map as to where, what type of efficiency they're getting with their car. You can hover over it. It'll give you miles per gallon statistics for that particular car. It'll give you their pseudo name, obviously not a real name, but a pseudo name. And then you can see the different areas of the country. It's quite impressive.
And I'll post those at whatdrives.us when we post the show. So you can see those links that Mark's talking about right then.
Yep.
Cool.
Thank
And
you.
of course, first place is Darth Volt.
It couldn't be any other way.
No, perfect.
Absolutely. So, Danny, are you convinced?
He's got me leaning. He's got me leaning. That's for sure.
I got to tell you, I'm leaning hard. Can I admit that? Like, there's some very, very attractive lease deals right now.
Well, you and I drove it at Plug-in, and we were both very impressed with it. And we were not exactly expecting to be impressed with it.
You know what? I wouldn't be a Tesla owner today if the thing would have had 5 seats. If I could have seated my family in it, I'd had one in a heartbeat. It was economically much smarter purchase at the time. But
Here's the thing about kids, like, the age that my kids are, is that 3 seats across doesn't even matter for me, because the damn seats are so big.
The car seats.
Yeah, the car seats are so big,
right,
that we can't even fit. Little Indy can't even fit on the middle seat between the 2 car seats in the Prius.
correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, you almost need a van, and
A minivan.
yeah. And luckily for you, Danny, you're not talking about a first or only car. You're talking about what's essentially, a second or third car?
Yeah, second car for me, And I put, 4 miles a day on it if I'm not.
The MR2 anymore? Is that off the table?
That is like right outside the office window, and it's been parked there for a little while now.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
How sad. Something dies when the 2-seater doesn't drive anymore.
It comes back when the kids are grown up.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that's it.
Like the Mazda commercial.
Right.
That's why I'm
Mommy,
holding
what's
on
Dad
to
doing outside? Why is he spray painting that car with a kid?
it.
Okay, wow. Any other questions for Mark?
Mark, we have another question from the Google Plus page
Thank you, Mr. Cooper.
from Lee Moon. He wants to know, do you know what is the highest mileage volt in the Waterloo group?
We had one recorded screenshot because we require some proof, but we had one screenshot of someone that did 93 kilometers on a single charge. Again, that's metric. 93 is almost 100, so that would be almost 60 miles on a single charge.
What
Now-
about like total mileage, like 100,000 miles, 200,000 miles?
Oh, good question. I'm relatively low on my car. I think I've got somewhere near
Kilometers,
close to
yeah.
30,000 kilometers, and I think we've got people into the 70,000 range at the top end.
Right.
I know of drivers over 100,000 miles on Volts, so they're holding up pretty well.
Actually, there's some information about the charge capability of the car, that the battery pack itself is supposed to be able to take over 6,000 full charges before any degradation of the battery can be measured.
Wow.
So and of course, when I say a full charge, that would be the battery's completely depleted and filled up completely. That's one cycle. So 3,000 or 6,000 cycles. You know, we're equating, if people do just regular driving, we're probably talking into somewhere between 10 and 13 years before any degradation can be found. These batteries were built solid because, of course, Chevrolet could not fail with this car. With the bad press they had received with the EV1, with, of course, the bankruptcy proceedings that were going on, they did not want this car to fail whatsoever. So really, I've heard a lot of people indicate that this car is over-engineered.
Well, and choosing to liquid cool the battery pack was a very smart thing to do.
Absolutely, and the battery system that they have in this car, even a little bit different than the Tesla, because the Tesla obviously is liquid cooled as well, but Chevrolet has a management system inside of it, so the inner core of this battery is even better cooled than anything that they had experienced. They were able to route the cooling, break up the packs in a separate way so that the cooling could get to every single cell and you wouldn't get a hot spot in the center or the sides of the battery.
So you're active in the community. What we've seen with the Leaf has been a lot of issues with battery degradation much sooner than Nissan anticipated. Do you see any conversations like that with the Volt in like extreme parts of North America?
I certainly see that's the other link I had set Russell, is there is a site called gm-volt.com, and that site is a third-party site that allows Volt owners and enthusiasts to talk about the car in many different ways. And that question has come up time and time again, and I don't think there's been one recorded instance of the battery having to be replaced yet by Chevrolet.
And that's
with 80,000 cars out there.
Right, and you haven't seen owners complaining about degradation where they're only getting.
No, not at all.
Wow.
And since this is not a Chevrolet actual website, it's a third-party site. People can complain. They're not censored. They're not blocked. They have the ability to, if there was a problem, you would be able to see it and read it.
Wow.
So it's like the Prius chat of the Volt world?
Exactly.
Well, I got nothing. I'm not going to touch that. The Prius chat of the Volt world. Hopefully it's better moderated. Okay, I did go there. I see some poison being mailed.
There's technically only one Prius chat moderator on the call tonight. Yeah. So he's a moderator emeritus, I believe.
And my words are going to travel really quickly. Okay, like my mailbox isn't already filling up with threats. Wow. I'm kind of tapped right now. My head's sort of spinning because I'm just thinking about how nice it would be to drive down the road in a brand new Volt. That's not exactly where I expected to be at the end of the show.
I mean, I think people who have not experienced one should go drive one because they are a really cool car. And like I said, it's shocking that GM put this together after the crap they put out in the 80s and 90s. You know, no offense to anybody who loves GM, but that's just how I see it.
82 Cavalier, right?
Yeah.
I want to pull the panel real quick. Who is more of a fan of the current styling versus the next gen styling for the Volt? I am a fan of the current gen styling.
Haven't paid that much attention myself.
Yeah, I haven't looked closely at the next one, so
that means it hasn't caught your eye.
Next gen, but I don't think the current gen is bad.
No.
I think the current gen looks just fine. My beef with the current gen, and I think they fixed it, was the interior. The interior's been updated in the newer models than it was in 2012.
I'm not sure if you would call it updated. Like, there's certainly different package levels that you could get with a car. Similar to, you could have cloth seats, or you could have leather, different color packages and such. Mine came with a leather package, but again, it was just because that was available when I went looking for a car.
Right. But that center stack changed, didn't it? It was like either available in white or black glossy plastic. And I think later on, did they update that, or is that still the same?
It's still the same. So you can have black, or like white is not very popular. It's just too blinding. Most choose the darker color.
Right. And what's your experience been with the capacitance controls?
For me, it's been good. It's a different touch or feel. I had to learn it a little bit, yes, but it's not insurmountable by any stretch of the imagination.
Okay. It's always a weird thing. I mean, the initial impression is just that. It's an initial impression, and if you actually own the device and use it, and you're gaining experience with it, some things that seem like glaring, huge problems really aren't, and sometimes vice versa. Things you never even realized bug the hell out of you.
Right, and now the next version of Volt, they went back to more traditional knobs for the HVAC system. So
Right.
You've got the twisty knobs and buttons that are similar to most other cars with the new version. So does that say something? Possibly.
And Mark, do you know when the actual new Volt is scheduled to be available to purchase in the showrooms?
I believe that California gets it first, and they will be starting to be delivered to dealers somewhere near the end of August, I understand.
Wow, that soon.
Wow.
Like as I mentioned, we're doing that tour tomorrow, and my contact there has indicated that the Volts are all on the line, and the production has started.
Wow.
Wow. Well, I will be very interested to talk to you after your visit tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll have to get together and do that again. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Well, we would love to have you back on the show, and I should give you credit. I need to, and we've mentioned you on the show several times, that you've been very good about interacting with us when we're talking about the Volt, whether it's augmenting things that we maybe got right, or perhaps correcting us when we inadvertently got something wrong, which very seldom happens. Yeah. But it's, you know what? The nice thing is it is good to have people, enthusiasts, who care enough about it to say, hey, you guys said this and that's not the case. Believe me, that's nothing but a good thing from my perspective. Danny hates it.
I ban people from the Facebook page all the time.
I'm just kidding. Danny doesn't hate it. We both enjoy it. Anybody cares enough.
I mean, I still think Chevy needs to do a little bit better job of educating the public. I mean, yes, there's the enthusiasts that are talking, but I mean, I'm in a social group with a Volt owner, and sometimes people put stuff in his car, and they all come over, that's an electric car, and he goes, well, yeah, but it also is a gas engine. He goes, oh, I thought it was only electric. So, like, the average consumer still doesn't know that it's a plug-in hybrid type of vehicle.
Yeah,
Well, we've been talking about that for 4 years. That Chevy does a horrible job at marketing this vehicle.
Yeah,
and it is interesting that they have had this problem for so long. I read other things into it. I don't know anything myself, but I look at the situation and go, how could this worldly company be failing so badly at advertising or educating the public? And there's got to be some reasons out there. I'm not going to express what I think it is at this point, but certainly if someone looks at it from the outside, you've got to believe there are other ulterior motives working.
Well, and a lot of it is a lot of shitty dealers that don't have the training or the enthusiasm behind it. So the customer goes in to look at a Volt and they buy a Chevy Cruze instead because the salesman was a bonehead. And
it's funny you mentioned that. There was a recent EV fest that happened here in Ontario, actually Burlington, Ontario, and I was discussing this with a Leaf owner, and he bought the car about 2 years ago, and I said, well, how was your dealer experience? And he said, well, you know what, I walked into the dealer and they tried to sell me a gas car.
Yeah.
He said, I asked for the Leaf, and they say you really don't want that. You want this Versa.
Right. Yeah.
So it seems that a lot of people have this same problem.
I think you'd fit better in a Pathfinder.
Yeah.
You look like a four-wheel drive kind of guy.
Yeah.
One other question, Mark, or maybe Paul as well. So, depending on your use pattern, you may not use the gas very much, and most Volt owners don't use the gas very much at all. So, do you have to take any special steps to treat the gas or to keep it fresh? Are there any strategies to deal with them?
None whatsoever. The gas tank is pressurized in the car so that it keeps the gas fresh for a lot longer period of time. The gas certainly can't be used when you go on longer trips, or if you get into the winter months and you're using the car, it will fire up the gas sometimes. Now, if the car goes beyond a certain amount of days, I believe it's 45 consecutive days, it will tell the driver that it's going to fire up the gas generator just to lubricate it. So basically it'll run for 45 seconds or a minute, and then it shuts off again. So it kind of stirs the tank, it gets everything lubed up in the generator again, and then shuts down. So they looked at that, they knew that certainly would be a problem because of these people gaming the system and running the car in electric mode at all times. And there was that need that the mechanical pieces had to be lubricated, and that's what they decided to do. Which, another thing is oil changes in the car. 2 years. You don't have to oil change the car for 2 years, depending on your driving patterns.
Wow.
Do you use premium? And are there people who don't?
There are people that don't. It's recommended to use premium, but you know what? The amount of gas I use, I don't care. I'll use premium. I got no problem with that because I burn hardly any of it. I'm quite happy to put premium in my car.
Yeah, it's not a big deal. If you were burning 5 gallons a week, it might be an issue. But it sounds like the vast majority of Volt owners are burning much less, if that.
Doesn't the average Volt owner net out over 100 mpg?
Absolutely, yeah. And there's a stat of something like 82 or 83% of all trips are made on electric.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's my recollection as well.
That is not the case with the plug-in Prius. You just reverse that, and then that's what you have.
70%.
Feeling a little inadequate, Danny?
Yeah.
I've got a little bit of battery envy going on here tonight.
At least you have a lease, so at the end you just give it back, get something else.
Yeah, well, that's true. Well, but then it's like, I'm kind of the owner of Prius Chat. I might want to keep a Prius. I don't know.
How about like a toy? Would that count?
Well,
I could sell you an
got a
old
new
Gen 1
one.
Prius.
I can sell you the new one.
What is that? Oh, it's a
So
2016.
diecast.
now this
Here
has
we
a
go.
very bad back seat.
I've got mine.
Uh,
I'm good to go. I just sold mine and got a black one.
Prius owner, Danny. You're a Prius owner.
Yeah, and I can really bling this thing out.
Oh, man. That needs a shark fin and some...
Yeah, I just need a very tiny brush to paint it.
Yeah.
For everyone in audio land, we're holding up little toys. Which
little perspective, we'll put that in the foreground, you in the background, little wide angle lens action. Nobody will know it's not a real one.
yeah.
I guess I can't be holding it though. It doesn't work.
No.
No. The car needs to be closer to the camera
Oh.
than you. There you go.
Life size.
Here, let's present. There we go. Look at
The
that.
new
Oh, my
Gen
God.
4
Woo!
That's a nice new car, Danny.
Yeah, thank you. And it drives. It's
It's a little smushed though.
it's like the Back to the Future car. It can fly. It's got a Mr. Fusion on the back.
Nice. Nicely done.
This is really devolved.
I think we end this now. Well, how's that? Anyone object? Anyone else have any questions for Mark or topics we need to cover?
We had one more question from the Prius.
I would
from
love
the
that.
Google Plus page. Are there any ELR owners in the group? If so, are they testosterone-filled jerks. No, that's actually not part of the question. Lee Moon says that's the Voltec vehicle I'm most interested in.
That's a great looking car. It's spectacular looking. It's quite pricey, but it's a great looking car. We had one of our members actually have one for a period of time, and they decided that they would rather go back to the Volt, so they were able to switch it with their dealer and went back to a Volt.
Wow.
What made them want to switch?
I understood that in the initial year that it was released, that there were a number of that particular car was having some problems with the QNX system that controls all the car's abilities. That's in the center stack, and I understood that there were some issues with his particular car with that QNX system. I don't know if I've certainly have not heard that from other ELR owners that are on the website.
It wasn't because he kept getting beaten up by Prius owners.
that I did not hear. No.
We're rough
It's
and
a cool
tough.
looking car, but a two-door plug-in hybrid is limiting for a lot of families.
Oh, absolutely. It's not for a family. It's
Right.
definitely it's for an empty nester is what it's for, I would think.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Where money is not a concern.
Right. You can buy like 2.5 volts for the price of an ELR, right?
Exactly.
Chelsea got to ride one. I don't know if she actually got to drive it, but she said she really liked it. She went to Vegas this year with Robert Llewellyn in an ELR.
Yeah.
Actually,
I saw one for the first time in Detroit at the 2016 Auto Show, just sitting out in a lot. I've never seen one to that point, and I was really impressed with its looks. It's an awesome looking car.
Yeah.
Nice. Any more questions from the Plus page, Mr. Cooper?
No.
And maybe we should take a moment to say goodbye to the Plus page, given the news today from Google.
I think that this will stay around.
I think that'll hang. Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, we think, but you know what?
I guess we'll find out. Maybe we'll need a new home for our show. We'll find out.
Yeah. If it disappears, Hangouts is going to stay, but Plus is supposed to go bye-bye.
Yeah, well.
They're going to subdivide Plus into other things. That's what
Then they'll have to reteach you how
minus.
to create the events, and boy, that's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah. Oh, hours of fun. Hours of fun. So.
Austin just piped in. He wants to start a little fight, I think. He's asking, isn't the next gen plug-in Prius rumored to have a 30 to 35 mile EV range? I think he wants to start a little something between the Volt and the Prius owners here. I think that's something we'll probably talk about next week, or did you guys touch on it last week? I didn't.
I think we touched on it last week, and
it's a
we have a
great
lot of
rumor.
non-believers.
Yeah. I think we laughed about it last week.
I remember listening to it now. Yes, I listened to an episode for the first time. The ones I've missed before, I had always watched in video form.
When you can buy it, it's real.
Yeah. When it exists, then you can brag about it. Until then, 14 miles at best.
Downhill.
Just to be fair. Yeah, downhill. And don't press on the gas coming out of the driveway. I know. Starts that gas engine up every time.
Yeah,
Well,
you're not very good at that.
No, I'm not. Yeah. Tony's the hypermiler. Evan, maybe. I'm not me. So. Okay, kids. Let's wrap it up. Thank you to Mark Coughlan from the Waterloo Region Voltec Group for coming on and putting up with us for over an hour and being pelted by questions.
It was my pleasure. I had a great time. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Mark.
Absolutely.
Yes, thank you very much, Mark. We appreciate it.
We definitely want to have you on again. Let's talk after your trip and when the second gen is out, and we can kind of. Hopefully, you'll have some members that are chomping at the bit to buy second gen.
Yeah. We'll see. Absolutely.
Good. That would be fantastic.
Just don't forget the pen camera or the one that goes right on the button.
The button camera.
Button camera, yeah.
That's built into the trucker cap,
We won't implicate you at all.
Yeah,
No,
those
it's not like this
NDAs
is
aren't
being
really
recorded or
legal.
anything.
No, we'll just edit out any.
no one watches the show at Chevy. I promise. No one. Dad,
Yeah,
Chad, turn
you
off.
can post. You can post from.
Bob's watching.
What, Evan?
I say he can post it from Carkmoglin, and nobody will have any clue.
Yeah, that'll throw them completely off.
Absolutely.
Yeah. No one would figure it out. No one. Well, so let's do some shout-outs and go home. Paul, I bet you have a fine business in Boulder, Colorado to talk about.
Yep, a plug and a shout-out. Plug to my business, Boulder Hybrids. BoulderHC.com is our website. We work on all hybrid and electric vehicles, including the Chevy Volt. And anybody in the Rocky Mountain region, give us a call, drop in, say hello, we'll fix your car. And a shout-out to some neighbors of ours, greeneyedmotors.com. And they are probably the largest used car EV dealer in the country. They have a number of Volts on their lot. They even have an ELR if anybody wants to buy a used Cadillac ELR for the fine Colorado price of $44,000 if you're a resident. They got a Model S. They got Nissan Leafs. Anyway, check out their website, especially if you're in Colorado, greeneyedmotors.com. Cool stuff.
Wow. This is normally where I would go to, well, I'm going to normally go. Evan Fusco.
Yo. How y'all doing? So, hey, I'm going to plug myself tonight. The
Oh, here it comes.
You would.
So, Tesla's started a referral program for current owners that convince other suckers to buy a Tesla Model S or get a reservation for a Model X, and you get money off the purchase, and I get money, and it's good for everybody. So if anybody's going to buy a Tesla, give me a call. I'll give you the referral information.
We might even have to post that on the What Drives Us Facebook page for Evan, don't you think?
Woo-hoo!
Yeah, do you have an 800 number, Evan? Or
No, it's just
call
a
you?
link. You just make your reservation through. I've got my own personal link. They send every owner got their own personal link that the people click through.
So send me the link, and we'll post the link with the
All right, I'll send you the link.
So, Evan, are you going for the free Model X?
I'm hoping that would be great.
All you have to do is sell 10 of them.
Yeah, I think I've shot my wad on selling Teslas over the past several years. I've been quite the advocate for them, and I've anybody that was interested has purchased one, and anybody that's not interested has blocked me on every social media that I have.
Our Tesla evangelist, Dr. Evan.
Well, good luck with that, Evan.
Thanks, mate.
And Mark, I bet you have something to plug.
Well, I've got our Twitter feed. If you're interested to see our little trip that's kicking off tomorrow morning, I'll start posting that information. And follow us on Twitter at WR Voltec, and watch as we go along. And I can't guarantee Danny's pinhole camera, but we'll see what magic I can drum up.
Yeah. That's good luck with that, because I'm sure they're going to search you thoroughly. Especially after the show. Someone right now is calling Detroit and going, "You better, damn it, search these guys."
Make them go through a metal detector.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Bob's calling the 800 number right now.
So, Mr. Cooper?
I want to do a couple shout-outs. My first shout-out is going to be to my wonderful co-host for holding the show together over the last few weeks. He's done a decent job while I've been gone. And in that time, he also celebrated a birthday. So let's all say happy birthday to Mr.
Happy
Frog.
birthday. I clicked the link on Facebook. Isn't that enough?
I'm 17 now. Almost old enough to vote.
You're almost there. My second shout out is going to be to my dad, who is what is he? He is 68 years young today. Happy birthday, Dad.
Aww.
And then finally want to remind everybody, my business is Prius Chat. So check out PriusChat.com for all your Prius interests. I'm looking into expansion opportunities, so you may hear more from me on the Volt or Tesla front in the near future.
Or may
My
not.
eyes getting big.
Or according to Fusco, maybe not.
May or may
I've been
not.
saying this to him for 5 years.
That the next gen Prius may or may not have a 40-mile EV range.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who's got cash on that 40-mile range? Bet. Who's got $40 and 40 miles? Anybody?
I'll put my toy Prius on the fact that it will not have 40 miles of range.
Exactly. I want that side of the bet too.
I bet a first-year Leaf will have more battery capacity than the next-gen plug-in Prius.
Ouch. Well, that's it. As always, I want to thank Michael Mannering for our theme music. Visit him at manthing.com. You can download, stream, watch the show in audio or video version at whatdrives.us. That's whatdrives.us. Since Tony Schaefer isn't here, you can also visit us at facebook.com/whatdrivesus, all one word. I want to thank the one new person, although I don't know where that person is. But we have 630 likes on there. That's pretty cool. I'm glad, and thank each and every one of you. If you do like us on Facebook, maybe share the link with some of your friends who might also be interested. As always, want to thank the folks in our chat room. That's Austin Kinzer, Lee Moon, John Brayling?
Yeah.
Who am I forgetting? Somebody else.
Glenn Hutchison?
Glenn Hutchison, thank you.
Yeah, we had a couple people who never talked tonight who were watching the show, so thanks for watching us live.
Thank you. Thank you for being there and for helping us. We appreciate that. Danny, you haven't been here in so long. I mean, do you want to end it?
Do you remember how?
Let's see. Download us this week. Tune in next week and find out what drives us.
Oh, that was sad. Come on. Okay, one more time. Then I'll give you the music.
Download
us.
Download us next week and find out what drives us.
Dun, dun, dun. Bye, everybody.
I'm embarrassed.
You should be.